Let's take a look at a syntax or two for the Windows command line. I'll start by looking around to see what is in the present directory. So I am in the C drive Windows System 32 directory. Now in order to do that, I can just type in directory, dir, and hit enter. Now the problem with that is if the directory is large, like my directory here, you're not going to be able to see all the information, or at least not be able to see it in manageable bytes. One way that we can do this is we can run the dir/p or page for the directory by page, and it makes it a little more manageable. So when I hit enter, I get the first chunk of information here. I press any key to continue on. I can press it multiple times to scroll through as much as I want to. Once I've found the information that I am looking for and I'm ready to stop this, instead of having to go through the entire thing, I can just go to Control C, and that will bring it to an end. Now I've got a lot of information on the screen, and I would like to clean this up a little bit. So to clear the command line screen, we'll just use CLS. Now what I'd like to do is I would like to navigate to the highest point of my drive scheme here, and that would be the C drive, right? So to change directory, I'm going to use the CD, and there are a couple of ways that I can do that. If I change directory and I want to go up to the next higher directory, I can use CD ... And you can see that moved from the System 32 over to Windows. And if I repeat that, which I can just use the up arrow to put that command back on the line and enter again, it goes up to C. Okay. Now if I want to maybe go all the way to the highest point in this structure, but I don't want to go through all of these different directories, I just want to go as quickly as I possibly can. One thing that you can use is CD ... /.. Now we're already as high as we can go, so it's not going to take us any higher. But if you use that command, let's say if we were back at the, I'll just move into Windows, and then I'll move into the System 32 file again, so I know that I'm back where I started. Now if I use the up arrow and go back to this command, it'll take me straight to that highest level in the hierarchy without stopping at Windows. The first thing that you'll want to do when you change a directory and begin to move around is you'll want to have your spatial orientation. You want to know what's around you, and I call it looking left and looking right. When you enter into a new directory, you can look left and look right with the directory. So I know that this is the directory that I'm in, and looking at that directory, I see that it has a serial number. This again reiterates where I am, and then these are the files or the directories that are located in that directory. So what I'd like to do is navigate to my desktop so that we can begin to do some exercises with directories and with files. So I know, having navigated through Windows a little bit, if I go to my desktop, I have nothing on my desktop, and I can kind of see that the hierarchy runs from the C drive through the PC to the desktop. If I start exactly where I am right now, which is in the C drive, and I want to go to the desktop, I know that I'm going to have to go through the users, the name of my computer, and then into the desktop itself. So these are the moves that I'm going to have to make. So keeping that in mind, let me just minimize this just a little bit where we can take a look at it. This may make a little more sense. So if I move this over and we begin looking at that in the command line sense, then I'll want to first move into the users file here, or the directory. So to do that, I'm just going to type in CD for change directory users. Now I've moved into there. Let me take a look around, look left and right, and see what is there. Okay, so if I expand this window a little bit, we can see that where I am right now is at the user level. And in looking in the user files, there's a default user 0, there's a public directory, and there is a WL directory. And that is exactly what we see here in our Windows Explorer. Now if I click into WL, I can see that desktop is inside this directory, and so to move to that directory I need to go into WL. I'll do a CD WL and enter, look left and right, and I can see that I've got contacts, desktop, documents, etc. So this is showing all of my files that are actually in the directories. To get to desktop, now I just need to move into desktop, and I am expecting to have nothing on the desktop when I get there. So let's take a look at that. I'll change directory into desktop, then I'm going to look left and right, and there you have it. 0 files, 2 directories, which are the dot and the dot dot directories. We'll talk more about what those are in the future. But we are now on the desktop, and we're looking at the desktop from the command line. Let's clear the screen, and let's create a directory on the desktop. So to create a directory, there are a couple of ways to do that. You can make directory, and let's call that directory test. So once I do that, you saw when I pressed enter, test showed up on my desktop. Now let's move into that directory, and let's look left and right. So we know that the file is empty except for the 2 holding place directories, the dot and the dot dot. If I open it up over here, I can see, yes, it is empty. Nothing there. Now, if I would like to make a subfolder from this, I can certainly do that. I can just repeat the make directory using the up arrow, and I will call this second, and press enter. Now if I look around left and right, I'll see that there is something now in this test folder called second. So let's see if we can move into that. We'll CD into second. It lets us do that. Let's look left and right. We have 0 files, 2 directories, dot, and dot, dot. So that's the way that you create directories. So let's say that we want to delete the second directory. In order to do that, we have to be outside the directory. So we can't attempt to delete this file right now and expect it to disappear because we're actually in it. If we want to go up a level, remember we can do the CD dot dot, and we just move up a level. Look around left and right, and we see there is second. So we can try to delete, or we can remove. Same difference. There are a lot of different syntaxes that you can use for this, but let's just see if remove directory will work, and let's see if that will work on second. Well, who knows? Let's type in directory and see. So now I can see that the test directory is in fact empty, and we have deleted that directory called second. Now if we want to delete test, we're going to have to move up another level, because remember we can't delete a directory while we're in the directory. So let's move up a level, and we're going to do that again with CD dot dot. We have moved back to desktop. Let's look around. Yep, there's that file or that directory that we want to delete. And let's use our arrow key now and go back to the remove directory and just hit the backspace, and let's put test in there. So this is remove directory test. Select enter, and you can see that that file has disappeared, and we're back to the desktop. We'll verify that by doing the directory, and we see that we do have the dot files or the directories, but there's nothing else here except for our recycle bin, but there are no other files or directories there. Join me for the next video, and we're gonna go a little bit more in depth with the command prompt.